This time, surveillance is rolling
Witnesses said there were 3 men and a woman.
as hateful messages get hurled onto South Florida lawns. Confrontation on camera
Stop right now.
as a suspected peeping Tom tries to outrun officers. And cruising all the way to Key West on a unicycle.
It felt conclusive.
These stories and more coming up on Newsbreak.
Hello, South Florida. I'm Diane Abutarbush.
I'm Kelly Stanches. Today is Tuesday, January 31st, 2023.
Live from the FIU Lee Kaplan School of Journalism and Media, this is SFMN Newsbreak.
Caught on camera, we've been seeing these anti-Semitic messages in South Florida lawns for months. Now we see one actually being thrown from the back of a rented pickup. An investigation is underway after several incidents of anti-Semitic messages across Palm Beach County.
Investigators are looking for 4 suspects they believed are involved in the crime. These suspects would apparently show at people's houses and deliver hateful packages.
About 150 homes in the northeast section of West Palm Beach had received these hate flyers in like a Ziploc bag with either animal food or pellets, wood pellets inside.
A Ring camera video shows them in the act. They eventually caught those responsible. They only got a ticket for littering. None of them were even from Florida.
Police in Central Florida are asking for help this morning finding the suspects of a deadly shooting. 10 people were wounded in Lakeland yesterday afternoon. 2 of them were critically injured. According to police, the windows of a car rolled down and 4 people with guns started shooting. The victims of the drive-by shooting were all men 20 to 35 years old. Although police believe the shooting was targeted, a motive has not been released.
A Florida man faces charges after creeping through the windows of a woman's home. Volusia County residents caught 29-year-old Stephen Johnson peeking through the windows of a woman's home. This isn't the first time this familiar face has been reported doing this. The sheriff's office has said that residents have caught the suspect multiple times on their security cameras.
A committee of advisors to the Food and Drug Administration voted unanimously to develop a simplified COVID-19 vaccine scheduled with the goal of getting more people vaccinated, especially children. Reporter Nicole Adila from our DC bureau has more on this story.
Nurses here at this COVID center in Southeast DC tell me that during their last booster rollout, 300 to 400 people would come in per day to get their shots, whereas now it's declined around to 10. The FDA committee hopes that a more simplified vaccine schedule will encourage more people to get vaccinated.
Instead of the initial 2-shot or single-shot dose followed by boosters, the simplified schedule would replace them with just 1 dose that contains the same formula and targets current circulating strains, much like a flu shot.
So I think there's a general agreement that updating the vaccine composition is good, and that whether it comes to being once a year or how it actually pans out, that we need to have as much information as we can.
While D.C. and several states like Maryland and Virginia require COVID-19 vaccination for university and public school attendance, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis proposed a permanent prohibition of COVID-19 mandates.
We need to lead with this by making all of these protections permanent in Florida statute, which we are going to do in the upcoming legislative session.
After hearing the FDA's new proposal, one Florida parent said they would be more inclined to get the new single dose rather than 3 separate shots. But they have doubts when it comes to vaccinating their youngest child and would feel uncomfortable if schools mandated the COVID vaccine.
I still had questions about him being at an age where he was still developing, because I myself had several things that happened, or consequences or symptoms that I felt after I got the vaccines.
The FDA committee hopes to provide most people with a single shot by this coming fall, with the exception of vulnerable groups who may need more than 1 dose. Reporting from Washington, D.C., I'm Nicole Ardila for the South Florida Media Network.
The Industry Association have filed a lawsuit against laws in Florida and Texas. As Natalie LaRoche from our DC Bureau reports, they are laws that could impact what social media users are allowed to share or not share online.
The country's highest court requested input from the Biden administration before making a decision to take on the case, likely pushing it to the next term and closer to the 2024 presidential election.
The Florida law allows social media users to sue companies for banning or restricting their accounts on the basis that it's censoring a person's free speech. NetChoice and the CCIA are challenging the law because, as NetChoice counsel Chris Marchese says, companies have free speech too.
When it comes to social media businesses, some politicians think, well, because you're hosting other people's speech, it's okay to require you to host all speech. And so what our lawsuits are seeking to do is to try to remind the political branches that while we all believe in free speech, the best way to protect free speech is by abiding by the First Amendment.
The legislation is part of Governor DeSantis's big tech crackdown, an effort to combat political speech from censorship online. Former President Trump's suspensions from multiple platforms inspired the bill. When Governor DeSantis signed the bill in 2021 at FIU, he said, quote, "Silicon Valley is acting as a council of censors. They shadow ban people, which creates partisan echo chambers, and honestly, they are some of the major reasons why this country is divided." If the court decides in favor of NetChoice and CCIA, it reaffirms the president that the First Amendment applies to the internet as well.
And it is thanks to the internet that Americans of all income levels are able to get their views out there and have their views heard. And that is why it is so important that we protect the First Amendment rights of the websites and the forums that make that possible.
The laws were passed in 2021, but both remain temporarily blocked. Reporting from Washington, D.C., I'm Natalie LaRoche for the South Florida Media Network.
A camera rolling as a boulder becomes a real home wrecker.
That's still ahead, and so is this story.
Once I got on the street, and it was straight away all the way down to the southernmost buoy, it was kind of, it felt conclusive.
Arriving in Key West on a unicycle was how it ended. We'll take you back to how it all began. Newsbreak will be back in 2 minutes.
I could really use a new tablet. I just don't have the money.
Let me ask you something. Do you have a Pell Grant?
Yes.
You do know you can get a free tablet, right?
Did you say free?
Yeah, free. It's simple. And the application is done in the store.
I could really use a tablet.
Go get one. Another satisfied customer. Stop by Panthertech in the Graham Center at FIU MMC today to speak with one of our associates to get your free tablet.
Type 2 diabetes can have a big impact on your life. But how can it be prevented? Well, the first step is knowing if you have something called prediabetes. Take the 1-minute risk test today at doihaveprediabetes.org.
I know kids worry about a lot of things. Getting enough food to eat shouldn't be one of them. Through a nationwide network of food banks, Feeding America serves virtually every community in the United States. See how you can help your community. Visit feedingamerica.org.
If a natural disaster shows up at your doorstep, you can't just turn it away. That's why it's important to prepare for emergencies before they show up. Go to ready.gov/plan to find the tools and tips you need. And make a plan today.
You really have done as much for us as you think we've done for you.
Southernmost cyclist, but this powerful peddler did it on just one wheel. Someone once said it's not the destination, it's the journey.
A man named Avery Suter took on quite the journey and on a unicycle. Avery unicycled for 2,400 miles for an important cause. He traveled all the way from Maine to Florida. It took him almost 5 months to accomplish his goal. He says what inspired him was to raise money and awareness to make travel safer for bikers and riders.
Once I got on the street and it was straight away all the way down to the southernmost buoy, it was kind of, it felt conclusive. I had my family there.
His journey finally came to an end yesterday, making way for new beginnings.
Family left a little shaken after a boulder came rolling through their home. After moving into their house in Honolulu just this month, a boulder about 5 feet in height and width came crashing through a cinder block wall into their living room, then through another wall into a bedroom where it stopped. The large rock almost hit a woman when it first came through the house, but thankfully neither she nor anyone else was injured.
That's all the time we have for Newsbreak. I'm Kelly Sanchez.
I'm Leanne Abu Tarbush. Get more news anytime at sfmn.fiu.edu.